Hey guys, Trevor Reed here, and for my presentation, I decided to do mine over something that was actually kind of new to me during the commercial training, and that was a solo night cross country. I had flown night cross countries before, but never by myself, so that was a little bit new coming from that commercial training, and can be a little bit intimidating. Leaving the vicinity of your normal airport at night because I believe the distance had to be over 100 miles. So that's a lot of time in the air when it's dark and you don't really have all that nighttime experience. Um, so for the background information, I'm going to use the example that I used for that I did for my night cross country, and I flew from KLIT in Little Rock to Fort Smith, Arkansas, which was about I think 137 nautical miles, so a decent amount of time in the air, probably a little bit over an hour, hour and a half. I flew it at night, so it was it was a little nerve wracking at first, but the longer I went, the more comfortable I was. I'm an instrument rated pilot, so I flew on an IFR flight plan. I flew it like I was flying instruments. So yeah, that's the background for this project, and we'll go into the PAVE checklist next. Thanks. So I like to start every flight with the PAVE checklist. The P stands for pilot. So wanted to make sure that I wasn't fatigued, sick, had alcohol within 8 hours. I was feeling good. I wasn't stressed, and I wasn't. Fatigue is the big one for me there, because I was going to be up pretty late that night. Left around 9. Probably wasn't going to get back until around midnight, maybe later. So I was good on sleep and everything. Next, I like to check the airplane. So we all know tomato flames and then flaps because we're at night as well. I want to make sure all my lights were on and working. All my instruments were good. My gyros were good, stuff like that. Because, your day VFR and you lose your gyro. It's not necessarily that big a deal. For some it could be, but you can see at night it can be a little more tricky. So I want to make sure all that was good. View for the environment. I knew I was going to be flying over some terrain, so that was a big one, making sure I had high enough altitudes and that my charts were up to date as well on my iPad, which they were. Yeah, and and what goes into that environment also is the destination airport. I knew the lighting they had at the airport. I knew it was operated by a tower. That was a big thing I wanted to do at night by myself. And I went ahead and filed for an ILS approach because it's nighttime and I wasn't necessarily familiar with the runway configuration there. So I thought being on an ILS approach, loading up the glide slope and localizer would help me out a lot, especially landing at night. And then external pressures. You need to talk through these because I was cognizant of the weather and stuff, making sure I wasn't pushing my limits. I've never flown night solo IMC, so that was a big one for me. There was some clouds, but I ended up getting below them. ATC brought me down below that 6,000 foot where that overcast was, so that really wasn't a problem. So that was my PAVE checklist. Another big thing that I was really concerned with, that I made sure I briefed before I took off and everything, with the nighttime illusions. And so some of these are like when you take off at night, sometimes you feel like you're nose high, like really nose high, and in reality you're not. You're actually climbing out maybe below or above VY. Another one, based on one that I read, was a black hole approach, and that was a big one I looked at because there wasn't a lot of lighting around the airport. And so a black hole approach is when you fly over a body of water or landmass, so there's no other lights except for the runway lights, and so it can cause you to have a lower than normal approach and end up landing short. So that was something I was aware of, and I briefed. And another one, clouds are difficult to pick out at night, so you can end up seeing false horizons and stuff like that, especially if you're looking out at one object and out into space. So that's why I tried to fly more instrument, more 90% instrument, 10% outside, stuff like that. Other than that, those are about the only illusions that I think I could have experienced. Thanks.